Say hi to Dan and Brad. What's going on this Wednesday?
Hey, Scott, thank you for the introduction. Brad, let's do a quick little mic check for you,
Hello,
please, sir.
Dan. How are you today? Happy Wednesday.
Fantastic. FYI, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be sharing Brad's computer. So he's got the Batman version of trade ideas with all the utility belt options. I'm only at like the Robin level. So Brad, thank you for sharing your
faithful assistant. Well, and everybody should know also, we do have a test drive coming up this next Monday, and as a result, we usually do put a new version of our software, a new beta version prior to that, and this test drive will be no different. So this Friday, we'll be dropping a new beta, so some of the items that I'll be showing today will be available in that download.
Right, and Brad, let's jump right into the quick disclaimer. We're disclaiming everything. We're disclaiming the disclaimer of the disclaimings. And if you think that this is financial advice, you should not be in this webinar, because for, Brett, how long have we been doing the webinar? So many years we've explained to everyone that this is for educational and informational purposes only. And nothing here, SEC, is considered any kind of financial advice, because we're strictly talking about technology and how to use that technology in the stock market for your own purposes, not advice from us. As you know, we are who we are, the greatest financial vendor in all of FinTwit, internet world. We have some competitors, but come on, who are we kidding here? We're the best at what we do. We're like Wolverine of the X-Men. There's nobody that streams data better than we do, and we do it all here in the USA, very patriotic company, with our own team of developers. And we've been doing this since 2003, and 2021, we were number 2946 on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing privately held companies. We had thought about going public, but man, the public markets are a little tricky, if you know what I mean. So it's better that we didn't, and we're much happier because of it. And we are going to show you guys what we have been up to, and so much development, Brad, has been going on, as you of course very well know. So let's keep going here.
Well, let me pull the slide out. We'll come back to this part.
Okay. So let's talk about how we want to present this stuff. I mean, one of the big things that we want to articulate is that because we're a software development company, as per the disclaimer, we spend a lot of time developing software to help you navigate the stock market by outlining and showcasing statistical opportunities. And we don't stop developing. We are continuing to add functionality all over the place. And I think I've mentioned this before, but really what you're seeing is the remnants of Brokerage Plus. It is in the process of being completely redone, made easier for you to sell or buy stocks, depending on what it is that you want to do. It's going to be much more visually interactive, and very soon it will all be web-based HTML5, where of course it can be in the application, but if you're on your iPad or your phone, you will also be able to do it. So Brad, let's showcase what we've done in Brokerage Plus. By the way, just real quick, this is today's AI performance, and the AI, of course, is our premium product. And I have to say, Brad, that over the last few days, certainly over the last 5 days, the AI has been just dominating. It's been profitable every day, and it's also giving you great trades on both sides, long and short. And of course, the important thing is, and we've talked about this quite often, is that when you are watching the AI, especially if you don't have as much trading experience, the AI is your guru. Now think about how much it costs to sign up with your, internet guru or Discord, whatever it is that people are doing nowadays. It costs thousands of dollars per year. Sometimes it's like 5,000 a month. Crazy stuff. But our AI is your golf professional trainer. It shows you how to make swings and shows you that what do you do when you have a problem. It's always risk centric, and that's why you see things like the exit reason so critical, because it shows you that you don't ever need to expose yourself to gigantic losses. You can always stop and reposition. Very important things for everyone to know. And additionally, and this is one of the things, Brad, that I really like. Look at the first two trades that Brad is showing here, OM and I. Notice the first trade was 10 minutes after the open. Okay, it was right there. And what do you do in blackjack, Brad? Let's say if you get two 10s.
Well, if I get 2 10s, I'm not splitting it, but
Well, you know,
I guess it depends what the dealer's showing, right? But yeah, no, this is like a double down right here. This
yes.
is I'd look at it as a double down because one, you got short, you're in the money. The thing traded down and it actually pulled back a little bit. And at that time of the pullback, which is still very profitable on your initial trade, it generated another signal. From the same segment, Holly Neo, we do have 3 different segments, and I guess most people don't know that anymore. But in that same segment, that same AI strategy, it generated this particular trade. And then in that segment, we had another strategy, which is a pullback strategy, and it just happened to find that same symbol. They're really completely different strategies, not looking for necessarily the same parameters, but it just happened to find it.
But it shows you, as per the blackjack example that I definitely got wrong. Well, Brad, when do you double down? What's the card you get?
Yeah, so like if I had an 11 or something like
right.
that.
Sorry. 11. Yeah.
10, 9, depends what the dealer has.
Right. So here you're seeing an example of a double down, and this is a form of a strategy. And in this particular case, notice both of these trades performed phenomenally all through the double down. You got 294 out of the first one and 235 out of the second one. I mean, I honestly have to say, many people, Brad, and I have talked about this also, many people would look at this trade considering how much OMI was down for the day, and they would be scared. They'd be scared to short it because why? Tell me.
Well, you'd be scared to short it because any potential bounce could really be a significant bounce that would catch you short, and then you'd have to cover. But that's just because that really is something derived out of fear. The reality is that from a statistical type of situation, this is a weak stock. This stock broke, and with any continued pressure, it's going down more.
Psychologically speaking, what you did here is you caught the panic, people. And in today's market, where the market is so weak, it's ripe for this type of a thing where, and in fact, Brad, let me showcase kind of a two-pronged thought process here. On the one hand, we are using the example of the double down as in blackjack, but there's another way to look at this trade, and that's called scaling. So imagine you got into 100 shares and you liked how it went, and then you scaled in more. And literally, as you see from the chart on the 15-minute, of course, the exit was kind of like that perfect flat line. And again, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but certainly there's panic here. And as a result of this panic, incredible opportunities were at hand for the people who are watching the AI, which is our premium subscriber group. This is kind of what separates our product from the regular product. And Brad, do me a favor. Let's show, before we show people the functionality of adding their positions, which I think is really important, and that's going to be next. Do me a favor and walk through the long-term Holly AI, because I want to showcase not just today, but look at some of the trades. Again, this is a premium service here. Many of you are premium subscribers, but this is kind of a new product. And I think if you hadn't been paying attention, you might have not even known, because we're a product-rich feature.
So there are a couple different ways to pull up that functionality. One, the easiest way is to just go to the long-term channel, but a little Easter egg so you guys know. I'm just pointing it out. We have this option here, which is show long-term trades, and it's just going to give you a panel below the real-time AI to give you some historical ideas right here.
You know, Brad, I didn't even know that existed.
Well, that's why I do this, Dan. Not only for everybody else, but
Why
for
am
you.
I even here? And obviously, by the way, if you wanted to, you could completely redo this layout where you've got all the trades on top, bigger, you know, it can be redone where the charts aren't squinched. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Absolutely,
You know,
totally. So let me just, now that I showed you this, let me just pop on over here to the long-term AI, puts it in another little bit of a layout.
So let's kind of go through this, and I want to showcase just a little bit of why it's important and why and how to use it. Okay.
Yeah, so every day we're giving real-time ideas through the AI, but this right here is, it's really mining those ideas that we historically had and giving you some relevance to today. And so for instance, this first one right here in our long-term Holly AI, IDYA. Now this was triggered back in August 16th, so a while ago, and you can see that annotation right here. And that's where it was triggered. And so over the time period, it meandered around that signal, but sometime in early September, middle of September, it started to break out. And we're continuing to deliver these ideas to you because at the time of the call, it was called for a reason. There's some catalyst there. That doesn't mean there's always going to be follow through, but if in fact there is follow through, we want you to be aware of it so you can follow it and you can participate if you want.
And the idea here is we have tools, and Brad already has many of them in there called, you know, price alerts, and we're going to show you how to integrate this. But let's just quickly take a look at some of these trades, because I mean, this is where you really get that long-term payoff, because you're paying attention to what is winning with the AI. So obviously in IDYA here, you had a call at 10:30, and initially it didn't work out, but again, it could have been a trade twice where, you know, it crossed that again and it was positive for a little while, but then it meandered down because the whole market, remember, we're looking at buys here right now. So obviously this is a long trade in a pretty tough market. But sure enough, after the dust settled and that price was crossed past September, it never looked back. This is part of where the statistical analysis is so critical, okay? Is that a lot of times these calls, they just become so potent that, you know, you create
well, it was also done at a pivot point right here, right? So there was a huge break that the previous day where it really, you know, gapped down and then traded down pretty significantly, found really done on huge volume. And then the next day it found a little bit of support, and that's where the call was made. You can see by that blue arrow right here. So each one of these candles is a day, and it meandered, just traded down a little bit, not too much. And then that day that it broke through that original call was that catalyst day. It went up and then it came back to retest it. So you can see there was something there. There was a footprint there.
And this is the type of behavior that we look at on everything. So let's jump to Weber real quick, Brad, the next one. Brad and I, just for full disclosure, are actually long Weber. We love this stock. But notice that the signal happened at 777, like the numbers for all the numerology people, and it tore up from there. Brad, how high did it get? Just a little bit above 10,
I think. 12. Yeah, just shy of 12.
Just shy of 12. Well, I want to explain why you're seeing it again. So what happened was that signal was called, and remember what we showed you in IDEA. Again, this is not a predicting the future type of business. This is an efficient reaction business. We're giving you better information, a better picture, and you are then enabled to react with it. So Weber had a gigantic pullback because it was part of the meme stock craze, and that's where immense volatility and volume comes in. And it pulled back as all the meme stocks were kind of sold off and attacked. And again, you can trade them all around, but the reason that you're seeing it right now, okay, is because look what happened yesterday, right? See that big move yesterday? Right, it had a very big outside statistical move on quite a bit of volume for certainly at least the last 10 days. And what we're showcasing here is that this is something, and remember, we're close to like the $6 sort of all-time lows that kind of go back all the way to May, I believe, Brad. Yeah, so we're right here. One of the things we always talk about in trade ideas is that if you are fortunate enough, what the stock market can do for you, which virtually no other business can do, is it can create a windfall for you, a windfall profit that if you catch the right move where you are no longer in danger, well, you can just let it ride, okay? And Brad, what are you doing there with those dots? I don't even know what that is. Brad keeps showing me Batman, so I don't even know what those dots are. But my point is, keep an eye on this stock, because a lot of times this is a tell, and this is what the long-term, this is why it popped into the long-term AI. Okay, so this is what we're trying to show you. In this particular case, it's below the signal, but you should definitely keep your eyes on it. And if it gets close to that 777 number again, this would probably be a potentially good long idea, obviously with risk management involved. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, and just real quick before I do, one of the ways to keep it at the top of your mind is you can either throw it as a heart right here and keep it in your My Liked symbol list, or you can throw some price alerts out to let you know when the threshold gets crossed. So that way you're in the middle of doing a million other things. When that happens, it'll be alerted to you and you can pull it up and then make a decision on it.
100%.
All right, there's Toro.
Now, Toro is an example of AI perfection. And I once again want to say that this is a very challenging, like think about it, you know, when the market's going up and you're getting long and things are going up, of course, you know, it's good, but you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. We've been sort of in a very volatile reversal up down sort of market, but mostly bearish, of course, because look what it's been doing. But look at this trade in Toro. It pretty much never looked back, and this is what we're trying to showcase, is that the potential here is this potential, that you can get into something in September and still be in it through a crazy bear market, because again, our software is trying to look for these statistical anomalies, things that your eyes might ignore otherwise. So this is definitely one to take a look at. And again, if it pulls back, I mean, you understand where you're trying to possibly look through, but look at the, I mean, you're very, Brad, where we're at 94, man.
94.
I mean, you're kind of right at the, you know, you're very close to 100, which, and I'm not saying it's going to go through it, because obviously this market is pretty tricky. By the way, Brad, do me a favor, showcase something that that we also do, which is on our timing, you can always look at a monthly chart for the bigger picture.
All right, so I'll do that. Before I, sorry, I was right in the middle of something.
Okay.
What I did was, so we're looking at Toro, right? And that's what our candlestick chart is here. But the very first one we looked at was IDYA. And I looked at it, I'm like, wow, these look kind of similar. What would be better? And I'm looking at it right here. And so I've got the superimposed chart of IDYA in magenta or purple right here. And you can kind of see that they're really pretty close.
How did you do that, Brad? Maybe showcase it to everybody so that they, what did you do to compare them like that?
Yeah, you bet. So I right-clicked inside of the chart where we brought up our menu, and I went to select chart style. And then I went to comparisons. And this is where you can put up to 5 different symbols to compare, and it does it on a percentage basis. So it doesn't really matter the price of the stock. You know, IDYA is a $15 stock. You know, this is a $90 stock. So we're looking at the percentage moves on this. And once you have it set up here, like we do, you can go in and you can change symbols right here from this interface if you'd like. And then as you scroll back, it's just going to go ahead and give you that relativeness, you know, how they compare to each other.
Yeah, and this is a relatively new feature. And again, if you haven't done it, please make sure to explore everything. And I want to point out something that many of you probably haven't noticed. But Brad, what is that thing in black and red there on the chart?
Yeah, so it's a recent addition to the chart where we've added the change data to the chart. So real quick, I could pull this up without having to look at the single stock window. I can see exactly how much the stock is up or down for the day, both on a dollar and a percentage basis.
Yeah, so now and another thing that we have here is if you look at the camera icon, and Brad's not going to press it because just like myself, Brad's been kicked off of Twitter many, many times.
Well, I
So
can press it, I just can't complete it.
That's right. But the point is that you can share these to social media, and now when someone looks at it, they know when you shared it exactly how much it was up or down, etc. So that's just something that we've added, and we're going to show you something else that we've added as well once we jump back to Brokerage Plus. So we went through some of these longer term, and there's 22 of them. We're not going to go through all of them, but let's go to Amberella real quick, Brad.
Sorry.
Let's go. Yeah, okay. So that you can see the downside as well. Okay, so here's the trade on the daily. You can kind of see what's going on. I mean, this was
an interesting statistic as well, the days profitable. So out of the 29 days that we've been in this from the AI call, 28 of them have been profitable, one has not. So it's probably this part right here where it came back up and then continued on down. Another pivot point, right? Another point of inflection at that initial signal.
Right, so Brad, just click through the numbers real quick so you can just show.
So it'll go, if you've got 4 charts up, I'm gonna spawn 4 more charts as I scroll through here, and you can see I have 18 left that I haven't looked at over here, 4 over to the left that we have. And I can just scroll through them. You get your snapshot thumbnail here where we can take a real quick peek at it.
I mean, look at that trade on SVRE, man. Whew. I mean, this is what you buy trading ideas for. I mean, if you don't have it, and there's nothing I can do to convince you, but this is what we do. This is the game that we're in, just like the OTEX chart. Same thing. I mean, you see that self signal on OTEX, and you just see the continuation. Same with legal zoom. My goodness, Brad. How do we do it? 42 days?
Yeah, never negative. 31 days, never negative.
Ask yourselves, is there any one vendor that has anything even remotely close to this? No, there isn't. Because we're a technology company and we're always investing in the tech. Same thing with TTD, the trade desk, and again, it all just continues. But you guys that have premium, you have this. If you aren't looking at this, you're just simply missing out. This should be a part of your homework. Brad and I make tons of examples of golf, and the reason we do this is because number one, we love golf, and I just love beating Brad all the time in it, and he enjoys hearing that. But in golf, just like in trading, you have many different clubs because you approach the end result that it's not an instant gratification. Like for example, you maybe just on a par 3, right? You can get that hole in one. Virtually every other hole other than par 3s, Brad, I mean, it's kind of impossible, even for pros. Because I mean, even a 400 par 4, which would be more like a par 3 in today's PGA, right? I mean, who's gonna hit a 400-yard shot? Even the pros, very few, right?
Very few.
So this is what we're saying. Here you have the longer term AI combined with the intraday AI. This is your golf bag. These are the clubs that you have to work with. Okay, so please be aware of this. This is part of the premium product. It's a relatively new part of the product, and we're gonna, again, continue to showcase this data. At the top, Brad, are those the long-term stock races at the top, right? Isn't that what that is?
Yeah, this guy right here, this is a race that's built off of the symbols in this particular window right here. So what do we have, 20, 24 or 26 different symbols that we're looking at. So they're all here in this race. So it's just really pulling the cream of the crop out of our long-term stocks. But
And so
this is a bullish race, right? So
yeah.
it's a little different because I've got long and short calls in here, but it's a bullish race.
But that's okay too, because sometimes, remember, this isn't a prediction thing. Just because the AI went short, like let's look at an example of TTD, the trade desk. Okay, it sold it at 70, it's at 52.54 right now. It sold it in August, so in 2 months it went down a considerable 22% in 2 months. That's a pretty good move. And
Boy,
it's possible that you can say to yourself, well, you know what? Doesn't it almost look like it's kind of like right at that support area where it's, yeah, right there. Thank you, Brad. So there's nothing that prevents you from getting long some of the short calls that are working, because you can say, well, maybe, I'm going to speculate that that move is kind of, it's run its course. That's the beauty of trading. You can do it in any direction. So this is why we wanted to bring this up and kind of dive into it, because otherwise it's very easy to look over all the depth of functionality that we provide you. And then, Brad, thank you for showcasing the comparing charts, because I myself forget to do some of those things.
And we'll bring an icon here to the forefront here, so it'll make it easier and quicker to do. But that's just our first step into it.
Yeah. All right, Brad, what do you want to do next? Should we talk?
All right, let's show Brokerage Plus. There are multiple different ways to get positions into Brokerage Plus. Of course, we can use our buy and sell buttons on the chart, where I just select which way I want to go and find my price point, and I put in a stop limit order. So if the price moves up to that, I'll take it at that higher price. If I put it down below, it'll take that. Now I also have other ways to trade. So let me just bring in, like, for instance, a new little top list window. I could trade right from a window right here by going to the trade, and these are all customized to my Brokerage Plus. So I could very quickly buy or sell a certain number of shares or a certain dollar value of a stock just from the right click in a window here.
And you can customize that menu, by the way.
Yeah, and you customize that here from the Strategies tab in Brokerage Plus. So you can remove these, you can add different ones, but these are essentially your order types that are visible when you right click on there. And then you've got the ability to define your long or your buy and your sell from your chart right here on these two different line items. So yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to get in. And in fact, you could even use your order entry panel to do that, a little bit more traditional. These are for the simulated, or even if you're linked to one of our live brokers like IB or E-Trade. But there's so much power to Brokerage Plus. There's so much power to the position tab, to the ability to monitor your positions visually, to be able to see how you've been doing throughout the day, not just from a snapshot right now, but to be able to look back and see a chart and a graph of how that profitability went. You went up, you went down. It's good to have that information. And we don't integrate with every broker out there. It's a small list right now, but it's growing. But for instance, let's say I have a Robinhood account, or I've got a 401k, or I've got a brokerage account that I'm not integrated with. I could go ahead now through this interface and add a position right here through Brokerage Plus, so that I could import a portfolio. So then I can watch this in real time, and I can get a much better flavor of what's going on. So let's say I had Apple, and it doesn't have to be bought today. This could be an old portfolio that you have, where you've got some stocks that are pretty cheap, and it gives you an ability to monitor it. So let's just say I have this at $85, and I have, let's say, 750 shares, and I'm going to put this in my Robinhood account. And so I'll save that, and then it'll add to my Robinhood account here, so that I have that, and I can see my overall profitability of it. I can see my profitability for today. I can see exactly how Apple performed through the day from a profitability perspective based on the number of shares that I'm long or short. So then I can just kind of keep adding positions here. Let's say I've got let's say I've got this at 1050. Let's say I've got 5,000 shares. Again, I'll pick which account that I'm going to put it in. It's going to go in Robinhood, and then I'll be adding that. And you'll just really become fascinated, if you haven't used Brokerage Plus before, the ability to see the data on the chart. It's fine. You're after hours. This will rectify itself pretty quickly, but yeah. So it was a tough day in this particular stock, but this gives you the ability. I probably should have picked one that was more profitable and more flavorful here. But what you can do here, once you do that, you can go ahead and you can change, and you can take a look at, let's just say I'm looking at something like this right here, where I can look at a whole portfolio of stocks and manage that. And if I want to get out of something, I can see very quickly here, how am I doing today in those positions? How am I doing from inception of it? And have a lot of different columns that I can add here from a profitability perspective. Shares traded, percent profit, so a lot of different things that I can customize and really have that portfolio view exactly how I want to see it. If I want to come in here and I want to, where is that?
Well, the idea here, what Brad is saying, is that you can now incorporate your whole trading environment, whether it's your 401k or your brokerage accounts of any kind, and kind of have trade ideas, brokerage plus, as your focal point for knowing all of your P&L equity matrices. And this was just done. Add a position. That's what Brad's showing. It makes it very easy to be showcasing all of this in real time. Like, for example, Brad and I are both self-directed 401k asset managers. In other words, we don't have anybody trading in our 401k but ourselves. We are the portfolio manager. And don't laugh, Brad. Come on. But the point is, Brad, Schwab, when you go online, does it update everything in real time? Nope.
No, it's really tough. I mean, you can't see your average cost, you can't see all of that, but you do get all of that with this right here. You can see your average entry price, how much on a percentage basis it's changed. A lot of different data points that are very helpful.
Yeah, 100%. So once again, lots of work is being done here so that you can focus and not need to jump platforms. You can, again, whether it's your simulated trading, and Brad, do me a favor, make sure people know that you can have multiple windows open at the same time. So let's say here you're looking at your principal, but maybe in another place you want to be doing some practice trading. Because
for sure. So you do this. You just go to new and you open up a new position tab. And this is just another docked window. I can take this position tab and I can move it to another panel. I do like operating like this, where I've got both my accounts over one another, and I can look at it like that. So here I could look at my Robinhood. Here I could look at my principal, and just trade it from that perspective.
And the other thing that we keep talking about, right, is, we make the analogies, once again, to golf as a professional sport. If anybody here is a fan, or if you've ever watched it live, you notice that even the pros never ever come up to a ball and just hit it, do they, Brad? What do?
They take a practice swing, or they have a routine.
Right, there's a practice swing and a routine. That's what simulated trading is. It's your practice swing and your routine, where you're trying to okay, how am I feeling? What am I doing? You're getting that feedback from the system. So often, Brad and I, even though we have tons of money that we're managing in real time and putting on positions and cutting them and doing all this stuff, but we're also constantly practicing. And for example, how do you know if the races are really good, the way Dan says? Because Dan is a handsome genius and usually is always right about everything, but the way to do it is you've got to do it yourself. So we trade the things that we see, and that's how we learn that the races are the best momentum indicator in the world, because they're just going to show you things that are otherwise very hard to see. Like, again, the way you see XPEV moving here, this, and even though it's just 3 cents. And Brad, do me a favor real quick. This is something else that I want to make sure everybody knows how to do. Let's go to the explosive winners channel. So we're just going to switch channels real quick. This is the standard one that everyone kind of, your handshake, your first experience with it. So let it just load up. Okay, and now it's doing its thing. Okay, but obviously, and we talked about this a whole lot, things that are smaller will of course move bigger percentages, right, Brad? Because the gigantic move in HYMC today, 2 cents. How long was that?
Based on percentage. Yeah.
Brad, I was yelling at you. I'm like, look at that move. 2 cents. Okay. I'm joking, but not joking. But let's click on the gear icon real quick, Brad, and make a modification from 50 cents to $5 and hit next and done. Okay. So what we simply showed you is a very quick way to adjust the races to your trading style. Now, there's some people that only want to trade the bigger volume stocks. So let's do one more adjustment. I mean, we showed you, now you're going to see that $5 is the minimum, right? Brad, do me a favor. Let's put in $20 and let's put a minimum volume of 1.5 million shares. Okay, so notice how quickly your perspective is able to change, and you are now watching kind of like, let's say, more of the mainstream things that are going on. And this is the stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes to make these races much more easily configurable to your specific style. So now you have it, you see that you can quickly move away from, let's say, some of the smaller OTC names that might be scary to people. And again, that's totally everyone's personal preference. But we just want to show you that gear icon without having to really dive into the configuration. You click on the gear, change the price, adjust the volume. And Brad, what was the other choice there real quick? So there's minimum volume today, or there's minimum average volume. And of course, you know, you can put in a maximum, or if you want to get super fancy, you can hit the advanced, and that'll bring up the real configuration menu where you can, you know, totally customize it to whatever it is that you want. But
yeah, so it's important for everybody to, maybe it's not important, but just if you really are interested in it, you know, every race here is derived from a top list, which is really, if you know how to do a top list and configure it, this is the configuration that we have right here. In every race that goes on, if you right click, you can pop open that top list. And if you wanted to change the configuration, you're an expert, you want to do some different things, you can have a lot more than just that $20 value right here. And once you modify it, you can just launch a race right from any top list. And that's how you essentially kind of go back and forth. So it's all pretty easy to use. And there's another piece of functionality that we added here to the stock race in this next version, and that's the ability to share it. Just like you can do your chart share right here, you can do your race here.
I was going to say, let's do that. Pop that in the link and give it to everybody, and let's have everybody click on it so they can see it. Guys, this is awesome. We should have that camera icon throbbing.
Yeah, and so what happens here, I'll just grab it, copy, and let me pull it back into my browser. So as you can see, this is how we're going to get from this application right here into a full-blown web version with the races as well as mobile racing. This is just running in your browser here.
So were you guys able to click on it? Did everybody see it?
All right, let me cover a couple more things I wanted to hit before our webinar is over.
Yeah, Brad, and let me make sure, like on Brokerage Plus, there's one more thing that we added that you and I forgot to showcase, and that is once again about the trading and the chart. That not only are you going to see the change from the close in the chart, but let's pull up a chart here, Brad, so we can show.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, again, guys, we add so much stuff that Brad and I also forget, but.
Yeah, so we just put on that Apple trade, right? And so you see that now here on the chart when you pull it up. Not only can you see exactly how much it's up or down for the day, you got the logo there, But now it's got integration into the Brokerage Plus position. Let me click back on it so you can see.
Brad, there was a question that I want to make sure I answer properly from Bullseye Trader. Is the share active now? I don't see it in the race.
No, in the race, that'll be on the Friday version. So yeah, download the beta that'll go public on Friday and it'll have that.
Okay, no, great question. Thank you for asking that. And I just gave everybody the answer. So yeah, this stuff right here, so critical, right? Because as Brad just removed it, what happened? What happened? Okay, notice that anytime, so like Brad, do me a favor real quick, just scroll through your positions in Old Principle. As you're perusing whichever stocks, if you're in them, like for one of the reasons why we did this, by the way, is that we found ourselves that a lot of times we're in the, like when we see races happening, we're in them because we're trading the races, right? But you're always having to move your head back and forth and check, you know, if you notice Brad's positions in Old Principle, and that's just, again, the name of, it can be anything. It's your simulated trading account. It could be your IB account, E-Trade account, doesn't matter. But like there, you have a lot of stocks you have to kind of peruse. Whereas here, as soon as you click on a stock, right, you're going to see where you got in and what you're up or down. So
you get it visually as well. I can see exactly where I bought it, you know, right on this date right here, my average cost, my profitability.
Yeah. So this way you're constantly have that feedback system of this is what's working. Why is it working? Oh, it's working because of my entry. Like again, Brad's ROCC entry, fantastic. You know, by the way, you tipped that perfectly, if I may say so myself. And by tip, I mean you got the bottom in a fantastic way. And just want to show you guys too how tricky the stock market is and why there is no perfect indicator. If you notice, Brad, go back to just below the buy signal on TI Pro. Yeah, notice the two. No. The buy signal, not there. Yeah, right. Should I
Talking about? Oh,
this
here.
one. Yeah, right there. So you notice, okay, so there was a buy signal, and ROCC went a little lower after that, which again happens because it's not fortune telling. But notice that it made like kind of like a double bottom shortly thereafter, right? And it bounced pretty hard from below 30. It went all the way up to 41. I mean, that's a very big percentage move, right, Brad? But
That's
on
good.
this move down, it broke through that. So this is where people say, oh, it broke support. So because that was support before, it was right around that price. It broke right through it and then pivoted instantly and ran back up. So even the notions of what we think of support and resistance are all kind of personal made up things. There is no such thing as exact support or resistance, but only in hindsight. And of course, in this case, you can see the 2708 goes all the way back to, what is it, January, right? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, December of last year.
So so in a volatile market, and this is a very volatile market, look at that, you know, people say, oh, look, that's a head and shoulders. I mean, there's so many different ways that people like to describe stuff, but the bottom line is your P&L is talking to you all the time. And risk management with trade ideas helps you to navigate these very volatile moves better than any other vendor on the planet. I mean, that's why you guys are here. That's why I'm here. That's why we use the product. That's why we've been winning this game since 2003. That really is the key here. All right, Brad, I mean, that's what I wanted. That part of covering the change from the close and the shares, I think that's it for what I had for the webinar today. Talk to me.
Yeah,
What do
I'm
you
just
think?
checking my notes. I think that's it, except for there was just one other thing that I wanted to show, and that was really just an optimized strategy. I wanted to kind of bring it full circle back to Holly and how our AI works. It uses our odds maker, or it uses a component of our odds maker, which is our event-based backtesting tool. All the premium subscribers have access to that. I spent a little bit of time earlier today going through the strategy and making it a little bit better. I'll kind of show you the process that I went through. Let's just real quick look at it and see what we've got. If we go to summary, I'm just looking for something making new highs between a certain price point with a few other parameters in it. It's not too many, but just a few other parameters, making sure that the stock is up at least 1% from the previous close. And it's also looking at the Dow to see how it's doing for the day and for the last 5 minutes. So that's the strategy. And if we were to back test it, just right click, hit back test. And real quick, I'm not trading the first 15 minutes of the day. I'm not trading the last 3 hours. That means I'm not initiating a trade during those time periods. I'm going to try to hold this thing until 10 minutes before the close. Let's see if I have a stop in here. No stop. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and let's run the back test and see how we're doing here. So we're simulating the buy. This is a long strategy right here. It's going back over the last 3 months, the last 75 trading days, and it's going to determine how would I have done if I would have bought every instance of that signal that was generated. I'm not going to get a signal every day because I had some filters in there for the Dow, for instance. So if the Dow's down or something like that, I'm not going to get a signal. So this is how it is. I've got a few of the metrics, 1.9 profit factor. That means the sum total of all the winning trades over the sum total of all the losing trades is almost a factor of 2 to 1. So that's pretty good. Total trades over the sample set for that 3-month period is 213. And of those 213, 56% were winners. That's okay. That's not a great percentage, but that's okay because my winner to loser ratio is pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. $1.35 average winner to 92-cent average loser. So those are the kind of metrics that you're looking at when you're building a strategy and implementing it. It gives me my return. Here, if I was to start with $50,000, I would have needed $100,000 to implement this strategy, trading $5,000 worth of stock for each trade. So that's kind of the metric. I went in and I used this optimization tab right here, and I went through these other filters, just looking at this area right here to decide, would it be better if I added some filters to the software to this particular strategy? An example that you could understand that might be easier is if I take that same data set for price and look at it and see how would I have done if I just traded the stocks between $5 and $10, $10 and $15. Well, that wasn't a very good segment right here because I only won 33% of the time and I lost money overall. So using that kind of data analysis, we can go into all the filters that we have in trade ideas and look at them and see exactly how it would perform. This one right here, if the 15-minute RSI was less than 90, then I wouldn't have had this one trade in here. So I'm not going to filter for one trade, but this gives you the ability to look at different buckets and see how successful those buckets were. And then you can modify it. You know, if I don't want to have anything over 89, I could go ahead and right click in here and I could set that to be the max value of that filter, and so on and so on. And I can go through all the different filters that I have and look at it and see what I want to do here to make it better. So I did that and I went through and I added about 6 or 7 different filters through this method right here. And let me pull up that cloud link. That's this strong from the open optimized. So let me load that. Has a few more filters in it. Right click. I'm going to go ahead and back test the strategy. Let's take a look at it. We'll run it again. And I compare it if I hadn't closed it, but I can remember some of the metrics in it. All right, so there we go. Now we have a profit factor of 3. So that's better than the profit factor of 2 that we had before. I think we had 212 or so trades. We've got 159. I have a better win percentage, and I've got a better average winner to loser ratio. So a little bit tighter of a strategy. You can see my equity curve is stronger. And just for point of reference, I mean, I can do this real quick, back test, simulate buy. And while that's running, what I want to do is I want to look at this number right here. And this is my net and my gross profitability on it. And it takes a look at commissions and slippage that I can go ahead and add in here. And I can configure that right in here. And if I change these values on the fly, my chart will update on the fly. So if I'm an institution and I'm paying $10 commissions per trade, this is what my equity curve is going to look like. This is my gross and this is my net in that. But comparing it to the very first one, my net was $60,000. I started with 50,000, ended up with 60. I did some modifications to it. Took me a few minutes, and I started with 50, and I ended up with 61. Oh, wait, I need to change my commission back to $1, and so I ended up with 64,000. So doing a little bit of optimization, I was able to minimize the number of trades, make them a little bit more profitable, make my winners a little better and my losers a little worse, so, or a little bit less. So I wanted to show you guys that. I'm going to go ahead and share the strategy for you. I'll save them both so you can have them both. And I'll right click on one, share to the cloud, and I'm going to select both of these. Strong from the open and strong from the open. So they're really two strats. Save and share. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it in the chat. All right, that is all I had today, Dan. Should we bring back?
Let's go back to the PowerPoint, and I'm just going to say something real quick on an important topic. A lot of you here have been with us for a long time. Brad, is that your dog or mine?
That's mine.
Okay, you know, listen, I don't know, can't tell exactly. So you've been with us for a while, and again, many of you are customers, but we are also a very, very, very big affiliate business where a lot of people make money helping us reach other people, and we're doing a test drive where you get full access for trade ideas premium for $11.11. You can find anything you want about it through trade-ideas.com test drive. But the point is that if you tell your friends about it and you let us know that you want to receive credit for signing up your friends, we can help you do that with our affiliate business. Again, that's something that you can just shoot us an email about. And all of you guys here, there's, you know, a bunch of you here that have been with us forever. You can actually make extra money doing this, and we have paid millions and millions of dollars to our affiliate partners, and the test drives are a very good way to do that. So just make sure, this is probably the important part of the slides here. You get 2 full weeks and of course access to all the premium tools, and it starts October 17th. So this is another important thing. Sometimes people get confused. All this turns on October 17th. So if you sign up, let's say today, you're not going to get anything going for 5 days. Okay. So just make sure, sign up, get your friends signed up if you're not a customer. And if you're a regular subscription customer and you want to check out what the AI does and how it feels for you and see if it's right for you, that's another wonderful way to do it. It's only $11 and you get 2 weeks of full functionality where you can see the historical AI. I mean, this is where it should and could easily pay for itself if you let it. So that's an important thing, probably the most important thing to convey in this Q&A webinar. Let's move on, Brad. You guys already all subscribed, but you know we're a subscription-based business. And if you are not a subscriber yet, of course you can do, you can sign up now or go to the test drive. But if you do it right now, and many of you don't have to wait, Fast Data will get you 15% off your first month or a year off of Trade Ideas. A year is where it really pays off big time. So that's how much we cost on a per day basis. But of course, the price you pay is monthly or annually. Support, you're never alone. Just like when you're on our webinar with Barry and Brad and myself, we have a very knowledgeable support staff and knowledgeable online resources on our YouTube channel. You can find anything you need on our interactive, what the hell was it called, Brad? Help. Sorry. On our interactive help page, we describe, your dog got me, on our interactive help page, and check that out at trade-ideas.com/live. So Barry's Trading Room, Barry's an amazing moderator of a community that really knows how to use this software. And if you haven't tried it, please go to trade-ideas.com/trading room. It is worth your time. And Barry's always talking about trades that he's putting on. He's been trading for many, many years. and has done it very well. And he is extremely risk averse. So it's very good for the beginning trader to see how Barry does it. It's like another AI, but Canadian. Okay, as you guys know, you don't just simulate with Trade Ideas, you can trade real money through interactive brokerage, trade-ideas.com/IBKR. And for 0 commissions, we have an option with eTrade. And that's trade-ideas.com/eTrade. We appreciate you guys being here. And if you need to reach us, check us out on social media. Follow us at Trade Ideas LLC. We're very active on all of these venues. We appreciate any time you like us on any one of them. It helps. And if you need anything, please shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas.com. Scott, I think we're all good.
Yeah, indeed. So people can keep an eye out for the replay. If you missed anything or just want to watch it again, it'll be on the YouTube channel tomorrow. You get an email reminder in your email inbox tomorrow with a link on how to find it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.